Hi everyone and welcome to another video. It is the middle of summer and all the shrubs here next to the terrace have grown quite a lot, and this is the area I will be working in today. So I want to prune everything you can see here to bring it back into shape so we have a nice view again when we're sitting on the terrace looking into the garden. Before I start pruning, I will show you what plants we have here. Starting on this end, we have a Japanese flowering quince. This one is a white one, if I remember correctly, and this was quite small when we planted it here, I think a couple of years ago, and you can see every year it has quite a lot of growth. Right next to it, a little bit further back there, there's another Japanese flowering quince. That's a orange blooming one, orange red it is, and the one next to it, the larger one, is the same flowering quince in the same color. This one actually I pruned in a silent gardening video last year. I will link that video in case you haven't seen it. And now moving on to the next ones over there, we have a Japanese Andromeda here. So this one has never been pruned. They grow rather slow, this type here. I will, however, do a few cuts. You can see on those long branches around this area. And then at this end we have two star magnolias. These star magnolias we prune every year to keep it to a certain shape, but you can see that the new branches, the new growth is really a lot, so that's more than a foot or 30 centimeters every year at least, and this is why I will be pruning this one back, and also the one in the background here that's a little bit smaller. So that's the plan for today, and I will get started on the other end. For pruning the two smaller Japanese quinces, I'm using my secateurs, which you may have seen in other videos as well. And what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to follow the natural shape of those two smaller shrubs. So this one here had a round, rather lower shape, and I'm basically trying to prune back at points so that this shape becomes visible again. At the other one back there, you'll see this one had a rather more upright growing shape, and also here I will try to follow the natural shape. So that's my plan for those two bushes. So now I'm onto this large quince here, and I have pruned this one really hard last year, and I think it was the first time that I pruned this since we've planted it. And I cut quite a lot back, and the idea was to bring it to the shape where it should be, so that I'm able then to just cut it with the large shears. However, this summer I let it grow a little bit too much, and this is why today I will be either using the secateurs, or actually I want to try cutting it with the barracuda clippers. So this is like a combination of secateurs, so they have a stronger blade here, and this blade is longer on this side, so this is more like a topiary blade or clippers, and hopefully these branches, you can see here, are not too thick yet for these barracuda clippers. They will be too thick for the long shears. This is why I'm not using those. So that's my plan and idea for this one here. So basically, I think you can still kind of identify the shape I cut last year, and basically I'm just working off that shape again, and we'll bring it back to that original size. after doing the first few cuts, the branch thickness is borderline to use for those, but it's still working, so I will keep going. And what I basically do is I will grab the branches and cut at the bottom, stay far away with my other hand because of the long blades, and this avoids that the branches just fall down and are all over the plant. And with those it's easy because I cut it last year so that the branches are like upright or growing to the side, so there are no crossing branches or very few. And this is why the system with these, how I cut this bush, works well and is relatively fast. So this is a faster way than using the secateurs where you have to cut like every single branch at one time. On this Japanese Andromeda, I'm just doing a few small cuts really, so you see just this excess growth here that seems to be out of proportion when looking at the entire shrub. And because these branches are very thin, I'm actually using my snips for those. That's because the blades get thinner towards the ends, so towards the tips, so you have more precision work with those at the ends, because I can reach it easier, as opposed to using secateurs because they have wider blades at the end. So I'm just clipping off the growth here that just seems to be too far out. That's all I'm doing for this one here, and then last we're on to the star magnolias. So the star magnolia grows more than a foot every year, and we do not want this shrub in this position here to grow any taller or any wider than it is. This one has more like a round bushy type of growth and branch structure. So I prune this one back every year. Usually I do this more in the middle of summer or towards the end of the summer. What that does is that it actually sacrifices some of the blossoms, because the star magnolias here, they bloom in about March or beginning of April time, so pretty much the first bloomers in the garden. And normally anything that blooms in spring you would prune after the bloom, so that the plant has enough time to produce the new blooms for the next year again throughout the growing season. Now, if you're pruning late, that usually means you're sacrificing a few of the blossoms, but that's okay for me. Otherwise the shrub just grows completely out of proportion. So I will be starting at the top here, as I usually do, to get a reference, and then I will be working my way down to the sides. I'm using my secateurs for those. That's because I'm doing, so I'm cutting single branches, so I'm not cutting several at once like you saw me doing with the Quince. Here I'm just cutting branch by branch, and always above a node. So you see you have a here's the branch, then here's a leaf, and that's a node here, and I usually cut just above, like so. So you see, like this, at an angle. so that's it with pruning. Everything looks neat and tidy, and I will show you an overall shot at the end. Thank you so much for watching. Please give us a like if you liked the video, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you next time. Bye!